Ooh, man, that's very bad. One, two. One, two, one, two, one, two. Go ahead and let everybody know that we are live. Urban Exegesis Studios. Legendary interview tonight. The legend, Mr. Freeze. Rocksteady crew. Let everybody know. Get on your socials and share this. It's going to be a great show tonight. Welcome. Let's get those lights up. Don't forget the new book on the history of hip-hop coming soon. Also, check out the new blog, urbanexegesisstudios.wordpress.com. Check out the new Patreon page for exclusive content not found on my YouTube channel. Don't forget the Facebook, the Instagram, the TikTok. But most importantly, get on your socials right now and let everybody know that we are live. Let's go. True teacher in the building. I see my man Randy. This is legendary status tonight. If you don't know, now you know. The legend, Mr. Freeze. Rocksteady crew. Foundational b-boy. Let's get it. Get those lights up. Get the algorithm moving. Also, go ahead, share this on your platforms, your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok. Am I coming through loud and clear? Chill Daddy in the building. Let's go. Did y'all see the little clip I dropped where Curtis Blow tells the truth and shames the devil? Let's go. Yeah. Take a little playbook from Super Rock and Mr. Magic. It's the official voice of the history of hip-hop. Right here, Urban Exegesis Studios. Doing it like no other. Many imitators, but there's only one. Let's get it. Get those lights up. What's up, my people? I see it. Let's look at the chat and see who's in here. Give the official shout outs. We got Randy. We got Truth Teacher. We got Chill Daddy. We got Mr. T. Let's go. Gonna be a memorable one right here tonight. This is it. The Free is gonna share his thoughts on the foundational B-boys. Got my pilot headphones on. We about to blast off. Let's go. The exclusive with the legend Mr. Freeze, Rocksteady crew. Curtis Blow set it off today. Let everybody know. We were there in the beginning. The beginning of what? The beginning of the creation as the co-creators. I know this made Cuban Link mad. He didn't like that when he said that. But it's all good. We're going to be showing you some clips from the Dancing Doug interview as well as a Sasa interview. We're going to have this conversation tonight. Let's go. We about ready. I'm about to come in. Here we go. All right, y'all. What up? We're here. Our guest will be joining us about 7:15. And so just wanted to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Again, there seems to be some misunderstandings about me saying I wasn't going to supposedly speak on this content. That's not what I said. What I said was that I was not going to entertain the energy of these people who want light shined on them. No, we're just going to speak the truth. We're going to create content here. This is what we do here. So welcome. Again, Truth Teacher, what's up? Truth Teacher, I would not even waste my energy on this dude. I would not waste my energy. But we're going to set it off, right? Just to remind you again, let me remind you again, tonight we have Mr. Freeze from the Rocksteady crew who is going to be with us. He's going to share his thoughts, and we're gonna get it in. That's what we're gonna do tonight. But welcome. Working hard on the director's cut of the Latin Breakdown. If you have not seen the Latin Breakdown hip hop documentary, Hip Hop's Latino Connection, you need to check out the Latin Breakdown. This should be shown in coffee houses, in libraries, wherever people are celebrating and talking about this conversation. That documentary needs to be shown. Okay, that's just a must. So we're working on doing a director's cut, and the director's cut will be exclusively for members only. So if you're not a channel member, let me encourage you, come on in. Come on in. All right. But I've been hard at work, working on the book and working on some other stuff. And then, of course, putting out the little shorts that I've been putting out. And I dropped 2 other videos today, one on St. Martin de Tours 118, 129, as well as a longer clip from Dr. Michael Eric Dyson and his thoughts on the Fat Joe comment. So you want to check those out after the live, or you can check them out whenever you can, right? So we're going to do this. Now, Mr. Freeze is coming on this live. We're just going to get him in about a couple of minutes. It's Mr. Freeze tonight. Yes, yes, yes. Mr. Freeze, Rocksteady crew tonight. We are here. The legendary Mr. Freeze. Yes, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so as we bring the receipts. This is the channel that brings the receipts when it comes to the Boricuas, the Puerto Ricans, the New Yorkers in the culture of hip hop. Shout out to other channels. Shout out to Val the Voice. Shout out to my man TMP, the Microphone Prince. Shout out to my man Rob Swift, who just dropped a legendary book. I know he had an event, and shout out to him. Shout out to everyone who is speaking on this topic and not staying silent. And shout out to Truth Teacher. Shout out to Randy. Shout out to all of them. So, yeah. We're gonna do it. Mr. Freeze, if you're ready, I'm ready, my man. You can feel free to come on in whenever you're ready, brother. Let's go. Let's go. It's the exclusive Mr. Freeze interview right here. Urban Exegesis Studios. Let's get it. Let's get it. Just waiting for Mr. Freeze to come on in. And then we are going to uh, do a couple of things. So hopefully everything's all right. Hopefully everything's all right with y'all. Good to see you on this Sunday evening. And praying that your week went well. And everything is good, man. Everything is good. Is good. Is good. Don't forget, man, the check out the WordPress, right? The blog, the scholarly journal for Urban Exegesis Studios. There are some articles on there. I am looking for people to do some articles for the blog. Okay, so we want to get some scholarly work on there on topics that we are touching on, whether that has to do with faith, whether that has to do with hip hop, whether that has to do with community. We're going to be talking about that. And coming soon, we're going to be doing a great little mini doc on the Ghetto Brothers. Coming soon, we're going to be doing a great mini doc about the story Not Without My Daughter. Man, that story is beautiful. That's a beautiful story. So we're just waiting for Mr. Freeze to come on in. And once he comes in, we are there. We are there. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Go ahead and share this. Let everybody know that we are live. I'm sure our favorites are watching. They're tuning in from behind the bushes. As usual, they don't like to come from behind the bushes. But we beat the bush here. So we don't beat around the bush. We beat the bush. So let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So we're going to just get that off of there and get back to our comments. See what's up right here. Randy says this is the baddest white guy in breaking. Truth Teacher says he's not white. He's just light skinned. And Chill Daddy is in the building. I see you. Chill Daddy is in the building. Yeah. Right here, Truth Teacher says they asked what Puerto Rican cultural elements was in hip hop. Cologne showed the Latin elements and a lot of the break beats. He even said it was all the beats. Absolutely. Yeah. Let the convo breathe. Just waiting for Mr. Freeze to come on in. Let me send him a text message and see where he's at. I sent you the link, bro. Oh, there he is. All right. Freeze.
How are
Freeze.
you?
What's up?
98.1 Kiss FM.
No, 98.7.
Excuse me. 98.7. Let's rewind. Cut. 98.7 Kiss FM. How are you,
Hey,
Mr. Cologne?
I'm doing fantastic, bro. Fantastic. Thank you for being with me. Listen, can you turn your phone in a 16 by 9 diagonal thingamajiggy? There you go. Beautiful. I'm gonna get myself off the screen. Actually, I want you on the screen.
Okay.
So
I don't blame you.
I'm gonna do that.
Damn, that's my.
Oh, we lost you. We lost you. I don't know what happened. We lost Freeze. We lost you, Freeze. Make sure that your internet is tight. Make sure that your Wi-Fi is tight. You there?
I'm here.
I can't see you. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Sorry, I had to answer a phone call. I will not be doing that again.
Now, try and see if you could put your phone in silent so your calls don't come through because it'll always interrupt that.
Okay, let me see how. So
Yeah,
just
see
put
if you.
silent mode. That's it.
Yeah, usually what I do is I'll go to focus if I have an iPhone and I'll just silence all notifications.
Yeah, I don't see that. How about I put it in airplane mode?
Yeah, let's see what happens. As long as you can be seen on the screen and be heard, we are good. Still not seeing you. But while we're waiting, y'all, let everybody know that we're alive. We're here. We're talking. We got the legendary Mr. Freeze in the building. This is a long time coming, this interview, this conversation. And he's going to give us his thoughts on this. Yeah, so we're still waiting. He popped back out, so he'll probably pop back in again. We're going to just make sure he's set. But yeah, we'll get to all of those questions. And if you have questions, please just write them down. Please label them as a question. As a question. All right, here we go. Let's see what's up with
We're
this. Boom,
back.
boom, bam, bam. All right, all right, all right. Cool beans. So, how was your day, bro?
I can't complain. I'm glad that we're finally able to connect. I know we've been talking on and off for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
You've been wanting to get me on, and I thank you for your patience because
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't want to do, what everyone else does or to talk about myself or what I've done, nor did I want to have anything to do with the conflict that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, not that you started it, where it turned into a racial war. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very satisfied in coming on with what we're about to discuss now. I feel that
Appreciate it.
I am, what's that wording? I have the right to speak on it because I've put in quite a bit of years in it. So my explanation and opinions on it, I feel matter, whether people agree with it or not. But I'm pretty sure everyone will be cool with what
Yeah,
we're talking about.
absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think the best place to start, obviously, is there might be people watching who don't know, who you are. There's a lot of people within this conversation who really don't know a lot about, the original roots of hip hop culture. So if you could just briefly, talk to us a little bit about who you are, when you got busy, who were some of your influences early, and the crews that you rock with.
Can't they just look that up and we just get right to it? I feel really funny talking about myself.
Okay, let's
I
get right
mean,
to it.
yeah,
Let's do
let's
it.
just
Let's
get
do it.
to it. I
Let's do
mean,
it.
if people don't, if they say, who is this guy, please go ahead and, just Google it, and with all due respect.
Absolutely. All right, let's do it, man. Listen, so you did an interview. You do an interview for the UK Museum, and you did an interview
UK Hip Hop Museum
at
in
the
London.
UK Hip Hop Museum in London. Thanks for that clarification. Absolutely. And you interviewed Dancing Doug, Dancing Doug
Yes.
Gold.
Yeah,
And
very nice man.
so I saw the interview, and there were some things that I wanted to sort of have clarified. So what I think we'll do is we'll put the interview up, and I want you to stop me.
Okay.
Like, just let me know, hey, stop right there, let me speak to this, and
Okay.
we'll do it that way. If I feel led to stop somewhere and just ask you a question, we'll definitely do it that way. All
Okay.
right, so let me bring this
Okay.
up real quick. Let me share the
You
screen.
know, if it's fair to say, I honestly, and I told him
Mm-hmm.
when I was asked to interview him, I didn't know who he was.
Mm.
And no disrespect to him, of course. There's
Mm-hmm.
plenty of things I haven't heard of in my time that have to
Mm-hmm.
do with the culture or with something else. In any
Mm-hmm.
case, I got to research him and interview him, and was very happy to get to do that because it turned out, as far as I'm concerned, to be a very positive and moving forward conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Let me add this to the stage. And I'm probably going to end up going backwards. Let me just add this.
The sombrero.
Because when he played the Mexican, I was like, oh, he's doing Mexican now? So I went and got a sombrero.
All right, let me stop it right there. I need to ask people, because the last time I did this, nobody could hear it. Could everybody hear the interview from Doug? Right, just let me know. Did that sound? I'm going to play it again real quick. I'm going to rewind
Okay.
it. Let me just make sure. Can
And so
people
I
hear
Okay.
break
this?
my sombrero. I throw it to the ground. I'm doing the little things like this, dancing around my sombrero, And so I would do like I would like want to type.
Can everybody hear? I'm not talking to Freeze right now. I'm talking to the audience. Can everybody hear Doug speaking in the video? Yes, yes, yes. Just let me know real quick. And then I'm gonna drag it back. Okay, I need somebody else to let me know. Yes, we can hear him. Okay, I'm gonna assume that they can hear him. You can hear it, Freeze?
I hear you, and I also heard Dancing Doug talking
Okay.
for sure.
All right, let's go. We're gonna get it in right now. Okay, here we
Okay.
go. This is part of your interview with him.
So, Doug, tell me about a little birdie whispered in my ear. Tell me about the sombrero.
Because when he played the Mexican, I was like, oh, he's doing Mexican now? So I went and got a sombrero. And so I
Okay.
break my sombrero. I throw it to the ground. I'm doing the little things like this, dancing around my sombrero, And so I would do like I would like want a tightrope, then fall off the tightrope and start doing my break on the floor, or I'd ride like a motorcycle and pop like a wheelie and fall back with my wheelie to hit the ground and start popping off the floor. So back then, when we was burning people were like really aggressive. They would like mush you and take your hat, throw it across the room. It was kind of rough then. I mean, it was rough. I mean, all things being for real. So you see when they started doing the rock dance in '75, they brought the rock dance in. It wasn't in the beginning. That was TBB that brought the rock dance in.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop here. I need to
Okay.
stop here.
Okay.
So when he says they brought the rock dance in, TBB brought the rock dance. Um, that's not um, that's not correct at all. There's the rock dance has been happening since the late '60s. So TBB did not introduce the rock dance. TBB was doing up rocking. They were, but they didn't introduce this. So I don't know really where he's getting the idea that TBB introduces the rock dance when rock dancing was already happening. With, of course, the people like Rubber Band, Mexico, Salsa, again, Enoch, Bapo, Mike Dominguez, and all that. So I thought
Right.
that was interesting when he mentioned that, but just wanted to make some clarifications on
Okay.
that. Let me ask you this while we're here, Freeze. I'm going to ask you this. When he says, well, it went back off. Okay. When he says that, you know, the sombrero, and you asked him about the sombrero dance and the
Right.
Mexican, and he mentions the things that he's doing. What came to your mind? I know what came to my mind when we try to make this connection with the first generation, and then he's describing that.
Right.
I was confused. What were you thinking?
Well, let me just back up a little bit about the rock. All right, you want me to answer this first, my thoughts on that, and then get to the rock dance thing?
Do whatever you feel like you want to do. Yeah, go ahead.
So let's talk just for instance the sombrero. The reason I mentioned it, and again, I wasn't around seeing them in that cipher at that time. Um, so Curtis Blow mentioned that, ask him about the sombrero, and that's why I asked him that, and he explained it to me, and you know, I, I'm very cool with it. I think it's fantastic that they were in that cipher. They were dissing each other, or whatever they called it at the time. They were burning each other, which, from where I understand, that word came from rock dancing.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in Brooklyn. I don't know. I'm in no way an expert on it,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah. I mean, he did particular things that worked with the Mexican. Now, if your question is, does that mean he was breaking? Is that your question, or is it just what did I think of that?
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to make the connection
Okay.
with the idea of breaking the first generation and then him describing
Okay.
what they were doing. Because to me, this is just me,
Yeah, that's fine.
that doesn't seem like breaking to me. But
Right.
everybody has the right to their opinion.
Okay, let me give you my analysis on this. So let's get to the where he was talking about rock dancing and TBB. You know,
Mhm.
I grew up in the Bronx from 161st Street and Anderson Avenue, where there was that movie, The Joker, and you see he goes up the steps. That's where I
Mhm.
first started dancing and saw the first guy actually do something that I could be like, oh, damn, I wonder if that's the first time the breaking came from. But of course, it's not.
Mhm.
Um, so from 161st Street and Anderson Avenue to moving to Marshallou Parkway to hanging out to 191st, I believe, in Marion, to 193rd in Katona, to Creston. I've seen the Chingalings, the Savage Nomads, Savage Skulls, the Baby Skulls. Me personally, never in my life did I see anybody do the Brooklyn rock dancing. I'm
Mhm.
not saying it didn't exist. I'm in no way saying that, but I
Mhm.
was around and I was traveling these neighborhoods as a little white kid, incognito,
Mhm.
just because I was excited to leave from, where I lived, which was the hood, into a different hood that happened to have had all these amazing dance pioneers. Now, listening to him, I'm in no way saying that he's making up stories, but it could be that maybe he heard stories that somebody else was saying that might have some type of a cred in that dance and would back up the story. Do you
Mm.
see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, but me personally, I never saw a TBB doing rock dancing.
Mhm.
I saw the first time I saw someone standing up, getting down, was a guy named Pete, Pito, they call him,
Mhm.
or Petey, from the Seven Deadly Sins. And while in rock dancing, they have this particular jerk. This guy from Seven Deadly Sins was more like take the face, pull it, snap it, shoot. It was more of there was a
Right.
storytelling to it.
Right.
So that's the only thing I ever in my life saw that, if you want to put it in the category of rock dancing,
Mhm.
um, Little Ep's partner, Wilski, who was the younger brother of Cool Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Cool Sky is the gentleman, and I never got to see him dance, is the one that taught Little Ep. So again, all this came from damn, I wish I knew when Cool Sky started. But my point is, I've never seen anyone do rock dance until I went to Queens and Rocksteady, you know, we were the second generation, battled Dynamic Rockers at the time. That's when I first saw the line of rock dancing. So again, I'm not saying it didn't exist, and the people that are from the Bronx and before me that say it did exist, fuck, cool, it existed. I just never seen it.
Yeah, watch your language, brother.
I just don't get it.
Right. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. Be careful with the language, bro. YouTube, they'll get me.
Oh, did I say something? I cursed?
Yeah.
My apologies.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
That won't happen again.
No, you're good. Let's go and let's bring back. So we're going to go back into interview. Let me bring you back. Okay, so here we go.
So we didn't call it up rock or bottom rock or top rock. We just called it going off. So 73, 74, 75, we just called going off. 75, in the 75, when the TV beat comes with the rock stuff, we were already, that was on another side of the Bronx. That wasn't at Cool Herc's parties.
Right, I know that, yeah.
Part of the Bronx. But they started calling it up rocking and bottom top rocking and whatever. That came after. So I tell people, I said, I don't demean anything. I'm saying that's how the first evolution of the dance, when you start adding that onto it, from us doing one part to this next part without our signature moves, because you couldn't do somebody else's move back then.
I know it only too well.
Yeah, and then, so you know, like James Bond would do this. Back then, there was a show called Get Smart on TV. And with Maxwell Smart talking to his shoe, well, James Bond would do the robot and take off his sneaker and bop you in the head, fall down, slide across the floor, and start talking to his sneaker like this. You know, that was a Get Smart.
Understood. So pretty much, I'm sorry, I try not to cut you off. So pretty much, so the moves themselves. So when you guys would hit the cipher, it was give me some description of, you guys would rock dance, or you would top rock. You would then maybe do a corkscrew or the slide back and get back up to. So in essence, this was a battle. And for those that don't know what burns are, it's to disrespect or to humiliate the other person. So was that the standard of breaking at the time? Because it was in the infancy stages, it really didn't get, the fundamental basics didn't get developed until sometime later.
Right.
So you guys were pretty much dissing each other on top, hitting something on the floor, and back up to, I got it. It
wasn't like we stayed on the floor. So
yes, I understand.
The guys they'll do 25 seconds of straight hard breaking. Your turn.
Now, when you say hard breaking, what was the moves?
I mean,
like the style. I'm sure there wasn't a name yet. I understand that.
It was just we were just dancing then.
I got you. It was sporadic. It was just sporadic. Right. The music, the beats that Cool Herc would play made him feel a certain way, which in turn made you feel a certain way, which in turn just made you get down and break.
Right. And because we started going to the ground, so the first thing we would do was drop. Actually, the first move, and I tell people this, the very first move of going to the ground was to trip somebody, because we still were burning each other. The first move was to drop, turn over, and crawl backwards and pull the people's legs out. That was I don't care what anybody, that's the first move I saw going to the ground. And that was called right. He would go forwards. I started going backwards. I would turn over, drop down, go over, and crawl backwards and pull their legs out.
Freeze, just let me know whenever you want to enter in and, comment.
Well, I'm just listening. I mean,
okay.
If you have a question with any of it, go ahead and stop it.
Burning evolved into breaking, because once he started playing that song and cutting that beat more and more and more, we would do more and more things, and then we wasn't tripping each other.
You're
anymore.
Searching for more to diss.
Okay, so let's go ahead and let's have this conversation a little bit about something he said when it came to like James Bond. And so he mentions James Bond. He mentions him doing the robot. He mentions him, pulling out his, the shoe, like Get Smart. He slides back on the floor. He grabs the shoe. The To me, respectfully, these
Sure.
definitely seem like skits more than they seem like breaking. I'm still trying to make the
Okay, I
connection.
understand. Okay, I understand what you mean. So, I was struggling with this because when I do these interviews with people, it's usually people I've had a history with. I know them, and
Mhm,
it really bothered me that I know him all of his history, and
mhm,
I'm so happy that he was so kind as to be able to describe everything. And the reason I was losing sleep is because I'm a no nonsense person. I'm not kissing, anybody. I'm not kissing up to anybody just because I heard a story.
mhm,
Um, I, I enjoyed listening to him explain everything, and his explanation was valid. Now, I was bothered myself when it said first generation b-boy because most of the
mm,
world, or as well as yourself, Track Two, Crazy Legs, Ken Swift, Jimmy D, Jimmy Lee, Rubber Band, we all know it as something different.
mhm,
However, we did know that the Zulu Kings did some sporadic moves on the floor, which were elevated from what they did, like a
mhm,
Dancing Doug back then, because there was these different tiers. So for me, I it's almost like a thing where we have to be diplomatic.
mhm,
After speaking with this gentleman and listening to him, you know, although to us it's not breaking, he is explaining that I'm not saying that we created breaking. I'm saying that what we did first, these movements from dancing on top to doing a sporadic to the sombrero, to them, they feel that they're beginning transition slowly but surely into what we know it today, which is when the actual fundamental basic of breaking came in, which would be the sixth step.
mhm.
So I'm good with that because we got to be diplomatic and we just can't cancel people out.
Mhm,
The problem that I do have though with that,
mhm,
even though I'm cool with calling them first generation, is, and I'm speaking from a sporting point of view to a dance point of view to learning systems in school. You can't do geometry without knowing addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, decimal points, algebra,
mhm,
geometry. Then trigonometry. In jujitsu, I've been a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner for quite some years. So judo had its fundamental basics: grabbing, putting down, and there's particular names.
mhm,
Jiu-jitsu came. Wrestling is the same thing. There's fundamental basics in order to elevate the dance. Same thing with jazz. Same thing with whatever it is we are learning and being taught in school. There is a fundamental basic. For me, the dance started actually, the core dance started in the mid 70s with the whoever created the sixth step,
mhm, mhm,
to me, is the fundamental basic where you're now able to say, all right, I have a beginning of dancing on top, like Dancing Doug did and his people, to someone now going down in a formation that there is a basic that you can now transition from moves like swipes, tracks, 1990s, head spins. These
mhm,
things have all been done,
mhm,
100 years ago.
mhm,
So
mhm.
would I call him the first generation B boy? I would not, but I'm cool with saying they're first generation B boys with the description of what they did is what caused an effect of people having to have to up their game,
Mhm.
because
Okay.
otherwise we're just going to be fighting against each other for no reason instead of coming together and admitting, yeah, we didn't break the way we know it today, but what we did, we feel brought it to that. And I'm cool with that, as you heard in the video.
Right, right, right. And I agree with you in the sense that, you know, we could spend a lot of time arguing, over this.
Exactly.
everybody has their story. This is not an attack on Doug.
Oh, I know. I
This
wouldn't
is
do it.
not, yeah, this is not an attack on Doug. This is simple questions as to, at least for me, you have your own questions, and I have questions, and I've always maintained these same questions that to me, what they did was not breaking. Other people would say the same thing. Charlie Rock has said the same thing.
Right.
It's not breaking as we know breaking, right? So,
Right.
one of the comments that Doug makes is he says, and I think he quotes from Charlie Rock, where he says, Charlie Rock said, "You don't have a Model T Ford. You don't have a Lamborghini without a Model T Ford," something
Right.
to that effect. Okay.
Right.
And I hear those analogies. I think the problem that I have with those analogies, I'm just that guy. I'm a critical thinker, right? I have to dissect everything. That's just the way I'm
That's
made,
fine. That's okay.
And so when I think about that analogy, I say, okay, the two things that those things have in common is that they're both cars, right? They're both vehicles. Both of them have wheels. They have a steering wheel. They have, everything that would go into a car. And as cars developed, of course, new things were added to make them faster, to house them, that you're inside. So I get all that. For me, to make that analogy and to say that they were like the Model T Ford,
Right.
and
I
then
understand.
I don't see that. I just don't see that with the explanations. Now the bad thing is we don't have footage, but the footage that we do have of Doug and of Sasa, it definitely does not look like breaking.
Right. I
So I'll
understand.
give you an example. There is a video where Doug is someone, we talked about this before. He's at some kind of an event, and I think he does these travel events. And there's a circle, and they play music, and Curtis Blow is with him, and Curtis gets in the circle, and he
Mhm.
starts to b-boy. He's top rocking, he does footwork, he goes to the floor. And then they call on Doug, and Doug starts to do the tightrope. He
Right.
rolls on the floor. He does this thing that almost looks like rock, but he doesn't do anything that remotely resembles breaking, where Curtis does.
Right. I
So,
understand.
I'm a little
I'm going to tell you why that
confused.
is, why Curtis does. I was surprised to hear that Curtis broke, but I'm going to tell you my thoughts on why Curtis did do it and Dancing Doug didn't. It's
Yeah.
because Curtis got with his record that came out, he was more involved in a little bit. I mean, he was there at the beginning doing the Cool Heart parties, but he was still relevant. So he was able to see the growth and the progression of b-boying.
Mm,
So I believe that anyone that would see that can throw themselves on the floor and try to do a six step, or at least say, wow, I need to be able to move around on the floor. That with Dancing Doug's era, he explains, I get what you're saying. We can't learn, the fundamental basics didn't start with them. It started
right.
with whoever started these particular moves and
Hmm.
then intertwined things that already existed.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I,
Yeah, let's keep watching the interview, and we'll chop up some more. Yeah,
yeah, and there
let's
was
keep
another
watching.
guy I saw an interview some time ago um, that really bothered me, and I'm like, why? Where I felt like things were just I don't even want to say. We'll get into it after.
Yeah,
It was just very disturbing. Okay, let's keep with this because I don't know if you even have that video
and
or
that's
if you could
I'm
find it.
I'm assuming you're talking about the Sasa video.
Yes,
Yeah, I
I
have it. Yeah,
saw.
we're
You
gonna
do?
watch
Okay,
it.
great.
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay,
watch it after this. I do have it queued up. So we're
okay,
gonna watch
great.
this first, and then we'll finish with that.
Okay,
Let me add this back. We're gonna go here. Okay, and I'm gonna go. Here we go.
because there's only so much you've done. It, I was raised at 1130 Anderson Avenue. That's where There's the big staircase. They use it in movies. And when I was a kid, I danced. This was in 1970. By no means am I saying I was breaking then. But very interesting enough to your story, I distinctly remember, I've told the story before, a very tall gentleman, a brother, and they were dancing. They were just taking turns. They weren't dissing each other, but everyone was taking a turn. And the gentleman was dancing, and then he jumped up in the air, grabbed his knees, and completely fell out into just a pose. Of course, it was in breaking, but to credit to your story, it was sporadic what happened. I'm not saying that's where breaking started at all. Just
Right.
understand.
But that
So
was the thing.
I understand what you're saying.
Everybody had their own moves. Just for example, when I spoke to Squirpy, who was Shaka from the original Zulu Masters, he had a move called a helicopter move. And he flipped. He said the first time he did it, he actually tripped when he was doing it and kicked the guy. And everybody's like, "Oh, that was fly, that was fly," you know. And then the funny thing was when he perfected the move, if it came from actually falling and tripping, doing something,
Got you.
kid, what's his name? My man, Quick Step.
Quick step, the quick step, the from nowadays, the one we know.
Quick Step.
Okay. Oh, okay. It's called the
He's
quick
talking
step.
about
I'm
He
sorry.
Gabriel.
said Gabriel. He said
Yeah.
the first time he seen that move as a little kid, he's like, "I want to be a breakdancer." Once I saw the helicopter move, I said, "I
Oh,
want to."
okay. Cool.
So that's how you see the lineage of it becomes something that someone did early on, and someone took that move and perfected it, made it better and better and better and better. So
Right.
we doing drop spin, jump in the air, coming down, hit the ground, spinning out of it. I don't know what they call that. They call it. I see people do it all
No,
the time.
it's okay. Even if you, I've been doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu since '94. My teacher, who is one of the inventors of it, a student said, "Hey, do you, whatever?" He said the name of the move, and the guy goes, "My friend, just show me. We didn't have names of moves back then. We just did what we did."
Right.
So I credit
Yeah,
to your story.
we would
So
actually.
wait. I'm sorry. These are little things.
So I want to jump in here real quick, Freeze. So he talks about the helicopter, and the one thing that I remember in seeing breaking again, I've talked to you about this before, and I've told this in my story that I never heard the term. And what's going to be interesting is in the Sasa interview that we're going to show, Sasa talks about how when Herc first called him a b-boy, he said, "What is that?" Like I didn't want to be called a b-boy. I was already, you know, a breaker. So I never heard the term b-boy. Quite obvious because I wasn't at Herc parties. This was exclusive because he's the one who names them that. Him and Coke Rock. So what I heard was breaking, going off, floor rocking. Those are the terms I heard. Now remember, I'm an 8-year-old kid seeing the basic fundamentals, which were super basic. It was a top rock to a helicopter that went into some basic footwork and a freeze, right? Of course, there's flavor to it. The only people that I ever saw do that were both black and Puerto Rican kids, right? New Yorican kids. Those are the kids that I saw in my school. Those, and this is 1975. So I have a school picture with that I could point the kids who were doing this, right? So when he talks about the helicopter, we have footage of, you know, James Brown is doing the helicopter. We have footage of Roberto Ruena doing the helicopter. I believe it's in Africa with the Fania All Stars. So that's not a new move
The
at
Russians
all.
were doing it.
The Russians were doing it,
It's
right?
the Russians, the Bulgarians. I mean, this is predates,
That's right.
even what we're talking about now.
That's right. Right. So I can definitely see, because what I don't want for it to come across is that I'm dismissing what these guys did. I think that they were
Right.
incredible
No.
dancers. I think
Yes.
that what they did was phenomenal. I just don't believe they were breakers. And I would not call them the first generation B-boys. One of the comments is, well, if you're saying that they're not the first generation and they're connected to Herc, then where does that put Herc? Well,
Right.
Herc is the first one to play these breaks, extending them with the merry-go-round. So
Right.
Herc is in a class by himself, right? He's doing this for these dancers who he happens to call b-boys. I think the terminology is where we get we really have to almost redefine that term b-boy, because b-boy has taken on so many different um arms like an octopus. It's
Right.
like at one time a b-boy was somebody who stood at a party in a b-boy stance, or a graffiti character on the wall was a
Right.
b-boy. So originally the term was called breaking because Herc, and we'll know this because Sasa says, what's a b-boy? Sasa said we called what we did breaking. So 74, 75, they're breaking. Now I hear a lot of the the, the stories, and they're saying we were doing this in 70 and 71, and so we were break dancing. So and I heard this in the interview. I didn't use this part because it was just too long, but I want to just speak to it. The interview, he said, we were dancers who danced to the break. That's why we were known as break dancers early on. And I said, well, if that's the case, because Trixie does say originally he says I was the first break dancer. So I say, so if somebody's grandma, somebody's grandpa, somebody's uncle is playing Give It Up and Turn It Loose in their living room, they're dancing to Give It Up, Turn It Loose, and they get to the break part. Are they break dancers? No,
Right. Right. I
they're
agree
just
with you.
dancing. They're just dancers. And he says this numerous times. He says, we were dancers. Not that, no way, nobody could take that from them. I just think there is a disconnect, especially talking to people like Track Two, people like who have asked the question, what did your generation bring to us that we took from you? And they all say the same thing. We didn't get anything from them. We in six step. We all of that comes from a certain group of people, and I'm not just talking about the Puerto Ricans. I'm talking about these particular individuals, black and Puerto Rican, who do
Mhm.
a certain style
Right.
that is not connected. I mean, the twins said we didn't
They
give
don't go.
anything to
They
evolve.
said they didn't go. I saw an interview at a I don't know if it was a university or something where they were on a panel. They said we never hit the floor because we didn't want to get ourselves dirty. I
Right.
remember hearing it.
That's the Track Two interview with Track
Maybe,
Two.
yeah. So there you
He's
go. I mean,
he's he's there, and they said we didn't get, because he asked them what was the evolution from your generation to us, and they said we didn't do that. We didn't get dirty. And so he's like, I could trace the generation, like Kenny can point to us, but we can't honestly point to y'all, because what y'all did and what we did was totally, we didn't do the same thing. That's all I'm saying. That's
right.
that then that's my opinion from what I gathered, from what I see.
So when you say y'all, what do you mean y'all? Meaning those dancers or the community of the race?
Uh what did I use the word y'all saying?
You said we can't give credit to y'all when we did this or
I'm talking about Herc's dancers.
okay,
Those
gotcha. Okay,
specific
the people. Okay,
those specific guys, Doug, Trixie, all of
got
those
you.
guys were doing stuff, but there's nobody, and this is where we run into a kind of a problem, is that when you ask the quote unquote next generation, did you see them, did you get anything from them, they all say no, I didn't.
Right.
So
Well, that's because there's no footage or the only thing we're hearing, and it's starting. Maybe I'm sure people heard of it before me, but we're just starting to hear these things.
right.
At least the newer generation and me. I've been around for quite some years, and I haven't heard it until in the 2000s. These obscure stories that we can't really prove. But the only reason I'm respectful with a Dancing Doug or the other gentleman is because Cool
Mhm.
Herc, co-signed it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
who am I to
Absolutely.
go against what he says because I wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
What I do believe is happening is the verbiage that they're using is um it's not exactly correct. But again,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
I listened to Rakim, you know, Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One, and now you listen to what they call the mumble rappers. I think they should have a category at the Grammys for MCs, mumble rap. I'm not trying to diss it. I'm giving you
Right.
that extreme difference, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe that me personally, I'm cool with calling them first generation b-boy, even though people were dancing in their living rooms, only because they were at that place at a cool hurt party. So I'm willing to say, yo, somehow it evolved through what you guys were doing. Do I
Mm-hmm.
agree 100%? I
Mm.
don't agree 100% because, as I spoke before, there were fundamental basics to things. But the way Doug explained it, he wasn't being disrespectful or saying,
Mm-hmm.
I did this, we did that, I did th-. Um, you know, he pretty much said it. No, we didn't do this, we just did that.
Mm-hmm. Right. And
It
that's
is a problem, but
that.
I'm
No,
cool
but
with
that's
it.
the first time I've ever heard him say, well, you kind of, I love the way you did that interview because you kind of probed that, like, okay, so we hear what you're saying here, but you guys are not admitting that you did the fundamental basics. And he said, no, we didn't.
Yeah,
So
it was nice. I wasn't trying to
yeah,
trap him.
no, no, no,
I'm
no, I
listening to
know.
him. I'm
Yeah,
not an attorney where I know how to trap people. This was organic, what was going on.
absolutely. Let's keep going. Let's keep on watching some of the rest of the. It's not much longer, and then we're going to get
Okay.
into the salsa conversation.
Things I want to get from you. So at that time, of course, breaking has changed to the mid 70s with the Star Child LaRock, TBB, and everything when fundamental basics started being developed. So the beginning of the whole thing with the b-boying, by your explanation, is that this cipher of us burning each other is how the whole thing started from
Right.
the top, hitting sporadic moves and coming back up. And then it evolved with the Zulu Kings when they got a little more in depth, from what I'm understanding. I'm asking you, I'm not telling
No,
you.
no, that's true. That's true.
Okay,
Like
okay.
little boy Keith or Beaver, they start doing the spins where Clark Kent would drop and spin and spin and spin and spin and spin.
Is that what Frosty Freeze? I'm
Right.
just,
And then
when he would go around. Okay.
Charlie Rock said, when I came to Herc's parties, I saw Clark Kent doing this. He said I was the baddest kid up there at that time where I came from. I came to Herc's party. I saw Clark Kent do
Cooler.
this drop spin and spin, 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 and said, "Shit, I gotta get myself a little tighter to go battle him because right now I can't take him on right now, you know." So,
Understood.
but that's
78.
where everybody had to come. So everybody had different moves. So there was no fundamental moves. Everyone did. You did a corkscrew or a windmill or a head freeze. I mean, a freeze or a head spin or something. It wasn't like that yet. You know, it was just like you're doing this, I'm doing this, you're doing this. Trixie's doing his shake. I'm doing my drops and spins and walking tight ropes and Mexican. And a lot of stuff was actually kind of entertaining because he was.
Okay, so we end there. Um, so I want to deal with this question here real quick. Freeze. I just saw this. I just want to put it on the screen, and then we're going to get to Sasa. So
Okay.
what I want people to understand is that, because the comment, I guess, is to say they were not b-boys is committing the chronological fallacy. So let me explain. They were called b-boys. I want everybody to listen to what I'm saying. Herc called them b-boys. Oh, we're gonna hear Sasa say, I didn't know what that was because I was already doing the dance. So the problem comes if we're gonna continue to say it was Herc who connects them, and that's the first gen, but then we have Trixie saying, I was a break dancer in 1970. Well, Herc's not doing this until 1975. It's not 73 at 1520. It's 75 at the Hivalo and then the Executive Playhouse. So this is when this really starts to jump off. So the term b-boy is applied to them, to those dancers. What I'm saying to you is that in the Bronx, in the streets, this dance was out that we called breaking. We would say break, and we're dancing to the whole record, mind you. Okay, so I would play Apache out of my window, the whole record. Okay, this is me, 8, 9, 10, 11 years. I'm playing it out of my window. People are playing
Mhm.
stuff out of the window. There's no DJs at that point. Now Herc is obviously doing what he's doing. I'm not aware of that because I'm in my area. I'm not knowing what
Right.
Herc's. So the term b-boy was applied to them. My question is, it's just a question. And I guess the only way to really answer this is to be able to sit down with Trixie, with Doug, with Sasa, with Herc, with Coke, and say the term b-boy, though we've adopted that term, after it came out, we adopted, the breaking community adopts this term. But originally, when you see what those particular dancers were doing, it's not breaking.
Right.
So
I understand.
understanding that the term was adopted by breakers, but the original term was breaking. But when you saw what they did, it was diametrically different. That's all I'm saying. I don't know why that seems insulting to people. It's just my opinion, but I can't see an evolution. I can't see a connection. And this is just me. And I've talked to, I've had long conversations with Track, with Speedy D, with other b-boys. And I know Speedy D doesn't come until a little bit later, but with these people, I've had these conversations, and they said the same thing. We can't. So it's not an issue of a chronological fallacy. I'm just saying, b-boy and breaking. If we're calling what they did breaking, I need to see the connection because I don't see anybody who's the next wave doing what they did. I've always seen this dance one way: top rock, floor rocking, freezes. That's
Right.
the only way I've ever seen this dance. And in fact, Wade Lewis, Shaka Zulu King Wade Lewis, he was asked on an interview, recent interview, about breaking being a up top dance at first. He said it was never an up top dance. He said it was always on the ground. And I'm like, wow. So
Well,
this is a Shaka Zulu who, I mean, he created the Shaka Zulu. So these are people who are eyewitnesses. I've never seen it any other way but on the ground.
right. I
It's just
understand.
me. It's just me.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I would like to say that there, since this culture has been named hip hop, I would like them to be considered like the first hip hop freestylers to get down in a cipher, and not say first generation b-boys. But again, I'm cool with.
I
We
like
just have
that.
to
Yeah.
be diplomatic and agree on it. And unfortunately, this has turned into, it didn't start with you, with another gentleman. It turned into a racial thing, which really broke my heart as a white
Mm-hmm.
kid who was always, my friends were all black and Puerto Rican. And it really
Mm-hmm.
messed with me that, like this came from, what's his name? Lord Jamar, for instance, saying, we created the WAP, we created the this, we created, and me, I'm like, well, no, a particular person created the WAP and the move. It's like me saying, you see this iPhone? Steve Wozniak, he created it. I'm white. It's my culture. We created. Woo, the whole world uses it. It's ridiculous. There's
Right.
a particular person that created a particular move, and a whole generation doesn't take the prize for it. We could be proud of it,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't know if that particular person saw it somewhere else from another culture. So that's why I'm bothered that it ended up getting into a racial thing, and I could understand why we had to, yourself, others had to debunk what they were saying to protect the race that was there quite a bit in developing the dance breaking, let's say, the
Yeah.
fundamental basics, which was a Puerto Rican gentleman, a man, not a whole thing.
Right.
So,
Right.
and they pretty much took over that style of dancing and created and elevated. And, you know, then the Russians, Czech Republic, China got involved, Japanese. Now
Mhm.
they're doing things that ourselves who came from the development of the dance, you know, it's like
Mhm.
it's on such a different level, but we
Mhm.
could still trace it back to the fundamental basic.
Mhm.
So I get what you're saying.
Mhm.
I do get it, but I'm also cool with calling him the first generation b-boy. Hopefully we could change it, because Doug was very kind and honest in his explanation.
Right. Right.
The
Nothing
other
to take away.
gentleman,
Yeah.
no,
Go
no, I
ahead.
know you're not. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Now, the other gentleman that I heard, and I've heard his name, and I don't know if I blame him or if I blame the interviewer that
Mm.
brought things out of him. So if you do have that video,
Let's watch that.
this is a whole different level now.
Yeah, let's watch that. Let me bring that up. Let me go here. Wait, let me go here, and I'm going to go add to stage. Okay, I gotta remove something. So let me remove myself. Let me just
Please,
add this. Let
can't
me
stand your modeling picture.
let me see. Why is it not letting me add this to stage? I'm gonna remove. Hold on. Oh, that's why. Okay, let
Hi,
me
my
add
love.
this. There it is. Okay. So now
Can't see.
let me make this a bigger. Let me make this bigger. Boom.
Yeah, that was the interviewer.
Yeah. So I'm
Oh
gonna
boy.
bring it back a little bit, and let's listen to it. And again, feel free. Hey D,
Okay,
let me
yeah.
stop right there. So let
Okay.
me bring it back a little bit. Okay.
Erase it.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to have a museum.
What did he say
Right.
about erasing? Can you
told
back
him,
that up?
right?
Right.
Oh, okay. You're backing up the whole thing. Good.
I'll back it up to about
So
here.
listen. So let's say you have a legacy, right? So let me just say this to you: your legacy is set in stone, regardless of
Yeah.
you think
Of
about
some
it.
people who are trying to erase it.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you stop that 1 second?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So for that's Sasa, right?
Yes, that's us.
I mean, to his defense, because I've heard of him, and I'm not going to step on him. Nobody's trying to erase him. Nobody has heard of
Right.
him. And
Right.
it's not, people haven't heard of me. And I was in the movie Flashdance with Rocksteady Crew, Buffalo Gals. We did the world tour. But if you're not staying relevant in it to keep your name there, especially in these infancy stages when they were first going in a circle, it almost sounds like he's bitter. Nobody's trying to erase him. If anything, we all want this history, but
He
it has to be
stopped.
the truth.
But here's the deal, Freeze. What a lot of people don't know is that many of these people, and I spoke to, oh my goodness, Quan, what's his name? Anyway, I spoke to a famous b-boy. His name is just slipping my mind. And we spoke a while about this. We talked about the longevity of a lot of these guys, right? So
Okay.
Trixie Stops told me this out of his own mouth in a conversation we had. He stopped dancing in 75. I believe Sasa stopped. I could be wrong, 77 or 78. So these
Okay.
guys have a 3-4 year run at best. And then they just leave the scene. They stop. And now they came back years later and saying, hey, we started this.
Right.
I,
Yeah, no, I understand. I
get it.
told you I lost sleep over interviewing Dancing Doug, but he sealed it in stone, and I mean it's cemented down that what he said
Yeah,
is what he said.
it is. It does. Now, again, I can't, neither can you. None of us can know Sasa's heart, right? We don't know his heart, but it
Well,
does
he
kind of
seems
come
angry.
across bitter, yes, and
Yes,
angry.
he does
Yes,
seem
it
angry
does.
because Dancing Doug does not.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's
Let's
the
go back.
interviewer. It might be the interviewer that
I don't
just
know.
didn't know how to let. Go ahead.
Let's see. Let me see. Okay, and now we're gonna go back into it. And again, stop me if you want to. Let's do that.
Story told in the museum, right?
Right.
So if we're gonna put a statue of you, right?
Right.
What's the move we're gonna make the statue look like? What move are you gonna be in?
Well,
What's your favorite move? How would you like to be remembered?
well, if you had a statue of me, I would be down on my legs. Ooh,
That's okay. That's your microphone.
I would be down on my legs, like this, pulling myself up.
Oh my God.
That's your move.
Yeah, like hitting the floor.
Yeah.
Pulling myself up and then hitting the floor, then coming backwards and spinning up.
Dude, do you know how many times I've seen it on Soul Train?
Huh?
I've seen that move before.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that's back from then. You know, I would hit the floor, come up, spin it.
Can you stop that again
Yeah.
and rewind it? Did the interviewer say, I saw that on Soul Train? Did you make that up?
Yes, he did say that.
Doing this and getting pulled up was done by clowns in Europe back in the days.
Hold on. Let me bring you up. Hold on.
I don't mean people that are clowns. I mean actual circus clowns. It was a thing where you go down, they pick them up, they twist them around. I mean, nobody. I mean, so is the interviewer saying that he made that up, or is Sasa saying he made it up? Was the interviewer saying, so you made that up?
Yeah, the interviewer asked him, "You made that up?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "You know how many times I saw that on Soul Train?" So
that guy is a moron to even be able to attest and say that. Oh wow, he should have said, well, so you used a move that the old mimes and clowns used to do back in the days. So now the narrative is he's saying he did this move because he wants to be remembered as that. He didn't say he made it up. Sasa said, I did this move, and the moron said, so you made that up. And he pretty much baited Sasa into saying, yes, I did, because he's caught up in the moment. That's how I feel.
Yeah, but no, I disagree with you. I disagree. Listen, you're a grown man, you know, to say, I didn't make that move up. I saw the bottom line is most of these guys will say this. Most of these guys will say the same thing. We were doing what we saw James Brown doing, what we saw the Nicholas brothers doing. So you're seeing people do these moves, and you do this in a different context. That's the key. There's a different context now with break beats, where the context that you saw it was James Brown playing with his famous Flames, or the Nicholas brothers doing a show for people. This is with an orchestra and, or jazz. It's a different context now. So you take a move and you do that move there, and you give it a name and you say, this is what it was. I think everybody saw something and took something from someone. That's not the question. That's definitely what happened in a lot of cases. The head spin. We see a white kid I think it's a 1930s video doing a head spin. He's doing a one shot. So, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the fundamental basics. So I think Sasa, yeah, okay, you're in the moment, whatever. No, let me be clear. I didn't create that. I mean, just say it, bro. No, you didn't create that.
Yeah, I would have definitely corrected him, because I've had plenty of interviewers say, when you did the backside with the umbrella, did you make that up? I'd be like, no, I didn't make that up at all. And I'll tell the story. Okay, I understand. I'm just trying to, I'm just hoping. All right, let's
play it.
I'm not saying you're calling me out, but I'm just hoping that Sasa didn't mean it in that way, and that maybe the interviewer, kind of hyped him up and won and got a response out of him, like, yes, you see, I got you to say it, so now everyone knows that you made it up, which is ridiculous.
And that interviewer is a moron, by the way. Yeah.
No. Oh, it's okay. Ain't no problem. You could call me out. You'll get it right back. Trust me.
That's not what I did.
If I don't feel it's warranted, but no, you're right.
Yeah, I just saw it from a different angle, like,
and that's fine.
I don't know that
that's
he was
fine.
Baiting
I saw
him.
it from your angle too, but I have to also understand that Sasa, he seems very angry, and as the video goes on, I'm probably going to see he's trying to sell himself And when you have to sell yourself on your story, it makes it look like almost you're a used car salesman.
I mean, Freeze, we just saw what he demonstrated, lifting himself up. I mean,
I know.
I'm sorry, bro. That's not breaking.
I understand. Yes, I'm not. Well, yes. Now his narrative is completely different.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. I believe that he is saying that Dancing Doug spoke in a totally different light in comparison to how he's speaking. So go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Let's
That interview is aggravating me.
Nah, don't let him. Don't let him. Here we go.
Dude, do you know how many times I've seen it on social?
Huh?
I've seen that movie before.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that's back from then. You know, I would hit the floor, come up, spin it, and hit the floor like this. You know, like this here, bang, and then come down, hit my like this, and spin up. Like you know how you sit on the and then spin up.
Spin up from a corkscrew.
That's one of me.
Right.
Or,
That's how we're gonna memorialize it.
or I go around, or I take my legs and do the helicopter.
That the Russians made up.
Or I go around and do the helicopter, you know, like James Brown used to do.
Yeah.
And then I hit myself in the back. Then then I just come up. And then I would start moonwalking frontwards and all that. You know?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you see
Now
what I'm
he's
saying?
going. He's
nuts.
he's going way out. Nobody was. Oh my God! I can't believe he just said that. And then
But
we got
see,
up and
this
we
is the
started
deal.
moonwalk.
But this is the deal, Freeze. He's connected to that group of dancers. It doesn't matter whether Doug said it or not. This is what they're calling breaking. None of that was breaking. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I'm
Go ahead.
so bothered to see what I just saw and what I just heard. Well, you know, we're talking. Well, so if you look at this interview and we look at Doug, I do find it to be different with his explanation, his kind, respectful explanation, where I can at least say, okay, we're in that realm. You were in that hip hop culture that began. I'd like to call it the first hip hop freestylist, not first generation b-boy, but again, diplomatically.
But so was Sasa. He's right there with them. He's
but
he's
he
part of the
seems to be
seven
making
dancers.
things up, though. I mean, it's like he's making up things. The helicopter was done by Russians. You know, I mean, the moonwalk. Just to say we got up and did the moonwalk is not. I don't know why he would say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they could say the same thing about you. They could say,
yeah, but I tell the truth. I don't say I made it up. I say it's been done 100 years by mimes, by Marcel Marceau, Shields and Yarnell. These are things that have been.
Absolutely.
We know.
Absolutely.
Lacatron John, who let me use the move with the backslide and with the umbrella. You know, I mean, yeah, his delivery is making it where people are going to resist, including myself, because it's oh man.
Let's watch. Let's watch. No, you're good, brother. Let's watch. This is why we're doing this. We're gonna get to the truth. Let's go.
You still got some of the moves in you.
Yeah, because
up.
I'm a natural dancer. I'm a gifted dancer.
Tell everybody who you are and why you're the original b-boy. And this is Uptown NYC.
Uptown NYC. I'm A1 B-boy. A1 B-boy Sasa. I defeated the best and I retired the best. I retired A1 B-boy Sasa. I was coined the first A1 B-boy Sasa and retired undefeated in the battle dance.
So who is
NYC?
Hold on. So he said he retired who? A1 Sasa? What is he saying there? He retired who?
I think he retired Trixie. They battled. And he took Trixie's title. And again, when we talk about this battle, this battle that happens.
It's freestyle battle. It was a stand-up freestyle battle.
But Trixie was, they called him Trixie for a reason, because he was doing tricks. He was jumping over people. He was shaking his afro. You know, this dude's doing the robot and the moonwalk, and he was
not doing it back then. There's no way.
So that's not a breaking battle to me.
No,
that's just me.
Well, he's obviously very agitated and upset. you know, I don't
You want to
think that.
see? You want to see where he talks about being called b-boy at first and his reaction to that, or do you even care?
I don't know. I'm thinking pretty much that things are going to be made up from then on end. I mean, everything from breaking to b-boy.
This
I'm
is
just
what
so
this is what
confused by this.
this is what happened. I wasn't there. I heard about it. Randy told me about it. I actually did watch it though. I watched the live stream um, of the b-boy the b-boy awards that Doug hosts, and at the end, um, it was at the end, and people were talking, and they were trying to get people's attention, and Sasa comes up to the front, grabs a mic, and starts yelling into the crowd. I'm the first original A1 B-boy,
Oh
Sasa.
my
And it's
God.
like, what are you trying to prove, dude? Like, stop. It's like, stop.
Oh my God. Well,
But here's what's funny. And in that same event, Freeze, when they gave Spy his award, Spy gets up, gets his award. Doug is right next to him. And Spy says, I don't know if a lot of you know this, but he says this. He says, I'm the one that brings breaking to the floor. Randy was sitting next to these guys, and
mhm.
he said you could have heard a pin drop. Nobody's no. You didn't do that. No, nobody said nothing. And
Right.
I'm like, I wonder why they didn't say anything. Like, do you even know who that was? A lot of them
Well,
don't
may,
even know who he was.
well, maybe because they understand, as Dancing Doug does, that they didn't do things on the floor, that they're just claiming the name with what they did. And there's a
Absolutely.
confusion with it, and it
Yeah.
does need to be changed. I mean, if you're getting I don't know who's putting the awards together, but it has to be given by someone that's respected in the community. I mean, the only one I knew giving out awards where when you got it, it was in your trophy case was Crazy Legs at the Rocksteady anniversary. He would give the Spy Award. And let
Right.
me tell you, everyone that got that award, it's on their mantle and they're proud of it. So,
Yeah, no, Doug does this. Doug is the one who gives the awards. He holds the B-boy. He just did the fourth annual.
oh,
They're going
did
to
he?
do it for.
Okay.
Yeah, so he
Well, I
does this
love
every
that.
year.
Go ahead, Doug. Do your
Yeah.
thing.
Do you want to take some questions from the chat? What do you
Sure.
think? Yeah, all
Yeah,
right.
I mean, we've seen. I big up to Dancing Doug and the interview we did because it was just on point.
Absolutely.
The wording of the first b-boy, if people could get together and agree on changing the name, if they want to keep first b-boy, I don't care, as long
Right.
as everyone could get along, because I'm going to be 62, they're older, Track's getting older, everyone, we're all getting up in age. And can it please be possible that this culture that has encompassed the whole world, to love
Mm-hmm.
this culture that started in the Bronx, can't we just this is stupid wording, can't we all get along and just agree on things and
Mm-hmm.
come together so that we could leave a solid foundation that could be taught?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let me ask anybody in the chat, if you have a question for Mr. Freeze, please just say question and then write it out. I'm sure there's stuff here that I missed because we were doing the show. Let me just go back and see if there are any questions. If you have a question, please, we'll
While you're
stay
doing it,
on.
while
Yeah,
we're waiting for a question, I'll just go ahead to some little archives and you go ahead and ask me,
absolutely.
what
Let's
the
do that.
question is.
Okay.
Let's give.
Who did that jacket for you?
That was done by Notch 56.
Nice. Let's see. Anybody have a question for Mr. Freeze? Okay. Mr. T has a question. Okay. So, question here. Well, actually, Truth Teacher has a question. He says, here's the question. Can you define the movement vocabulary between rocking, burning, down rocking, and breaking? What is what? Can you
Well,
define the
what was the
vocabulary?
first word he said?
So define the vocabulary between rocking, burning, down rocking, and
Okay,
breaking.
hold on. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
rocking is a particular step, a fundamental basic that every rocker uses. Let's say we're talking about rock dancing from Brooklyn. They have a particular thing that they do. I'm not an expert. Burning, from the actual thing they're doing, they're pulling the face, snapping it back, stabbing, cutting it off, throwing it off. So we
Mm-hmm.
go from the fundamental rhythm of the dance to keeping in beat with the disrespect of the burn. What was the next one?
Down rocking and breaking.
So from the burn, you have a transitional down move, whether it's a corkscrew, whether you're sweeping your foot across, whether you're back corkscrewing. That's the delivery from step A, B to C. And then from C goes to E, where you sweep into bottom fundamental basics of breaking.
They're
Whether it's
asking
a,
if you. They're asking, can you demonstrate? Are you? Are
can I
you?
de- No,
Yeah.
I'm in my shorts, shorts
Okay.
and socks, and I'm not doing it like that.
No, no worries. No worries. All right. Let's go to the next question. Great answer, by the way. Thank you so much. Let me see. I want to get to everybody's question. So, Mr. T, he says, Mr. Freeze, if Herc is the father, what role do you think Herc's dancers played in hip hop?
Well, it depends which dances we're talking about. Are we talking about Dancing Doug and Sasa and Trixie, or are we talking about the Zulu Kings that had a more advanced style of sporadic kicks on the floor, as you see in the Freshest Kids,
Mm-hmm.
or as you see with Frosty Freeze, which
Mm-hmm.
is a freestyle on the floor, in complete style, but at the time, that's what it was. You're feeling without a
Mm-hmm.
fundamental basic yet. So it depends which dancers we're talking about.
Okay. Great
From just
answer.
straight up stand up freestyle to doing whatever to actually going down and staying down. That I
Mm-hmm.
believe is the Zulu Kings, if I'm not mistaken. And then it went into, it exploded from there to the fundamental basics when breaking started, meaning when the dance was given particular fundamental basics to
Mm-hmm.
keep a full movement without just a sporadic style.
Understood.
Sorry, I hope
Understood.
I explained it right.
Here's a question from Randy. He said, who did you battle to get down with Rocksteady Crew?
So very interesting. I don't believe I did. We'd have to ask Crazy Legs. I would always be in battles and jump in circles. I saw Crazy Legs in Kennedy High School. I believe this was 1980. I'm not sure what it was. Forget the dates. I'm sorry. It's when I was supposed to be going to high school but didn't, or before I went to high school because there was a jam there, and I saw him in a red and white shirt that said "Crazy Legs," and he had his protege, Little Crazy Legs.
Mhm.
Him and I somehow met, and we just hit it off and became boys. And he put me down. I'm remembering correctly. He has heard of me as I've heard of him, but
Mhm.
of course he had a much bigger name, and I just got down.
Yeah, I've seen
I
it,
don't believe I
and
battled.
I've seen an interview with him not too long ago, actually, where he's even asking the question of you. He's saying, I'm not even sure if I'm wondering if, and I'm paraphrasing this. I'm wondering if Freeze was actually dancing before me. So he's asking himself that question. I don't know that. I don't know if you know that,
Well,
but
he said in a video once when I was doing a reel, he actually said, um, "Mr. Freeze was dancing before me." I forgot how he said it. I probably
mm,
have it, but it doesn't really matter.
right.
I was doing things prior to meeting him, so I don't know. I really
Hmm.
don't know. I do know that there's a lot of people that are liars that say they've been dancing and they created things, and I just like, okay,
Hmm.
I don't want to argue.
Okay, so let me see.
I don't want to argue because I can't prove it. I can't give a solid film and to show. So there's a reason why the stories are told and why people are known throughout the world. You talk about Storm, Maurizio, Pole One, Remind, from different sides of the United States and across the world. These guys have made names of themselves because they were in the trenches going to war in ciphers. That's how they made their names, which is how we made our names.
Right, right. Let me
So
see if
there's
there's
stories for a reason. It's not just made up.
Okay, so Recollect asked this question. I'm not sure what this. How can Herc be the father if no one does the merry-go-round? Okay, I don't know what that has to do. I'll answer that. Listen, the merry-go-round is taking two
I'm still
breaks,
here.
extending those breaks.
Right.
Who comes with the next evolution of that is Grandmaster Flash with the quick mix theory, and it's on and popping from there. Who does the scratching? It's Grand Wizard Theodore, and it's on and popping from there. So I don't even. Everybody does the merry-go-round. Who's a DJ now who plays break beats? That's the merry-go-round. But he's the one who created that. Okay. I don't know what that what
You
that
answered the
question.
question.
Yeah,
It's okay. Maybe you didn't know, or maybe
yeah.
you miss.
Any more questions for Freeze? Freeze, why don't you do that, man? Take us around to your pictures and let's see some of your memorabilia. Tell us about them.
So this was a photo taken by Sophie Brahim, I believe. She's a French photographer. This was done in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
This, I believe, is one of our first shows at Henry Chalfant Studio. This photo was taken by Martha Cooper. Can you see it or no?
No, you got to lift up your camera a little bit. There you go. I think that's is that Frosty? Oh no, that's you.
This
Okay,
Tie
yeah.
Fly, take one, myself, and Ken Swift.
Okay, yeah.
So here we have some photos. This was at the Roxy in New York. Back then with my Pro Kids Superstar 69ers. This is our first show at Studio 54 for Antonio Lopez, a book that came out. He was a designer. I mean, an artist. Same thing. This is the Roxy. And here we have, so here's an important thing, and I love this man right here. You see this guy here?
Yes.
That's Rip 7, Michael Cologne. He grew up right across the street from Track 2, and he actually introduced me to him. He was b-boying for a long time. He rode Rip 7, a very dear friend of mine, and this brother right here, knows a lot about the history because he was actually there.
Amazing.
So here I have some stuff, Crazy Legs, when he was in Flashdance.
Mm-hmm.
He did the scene.
The wig.
There's some stuff I did in Ancona, Italy. It's just memorabilia I kept.
Yeah.
Someone grabbed a great photo of Ken Swift and I in Paris years ago. I really love this photo. This was here through a French magazine.
Amazing.
See that? It says Mystère Freeze.
By the way, for those that don't know, Mr. Freeze is French.
So right here, this is the first interview we ever did in the Bronx. This photo is by Martha Cooper. We have take myself, Johnny J from the Too Good Crew in the Bronx, Lenny Len, which is Crazy Legs' cousin, and Frosty Freeze.
History, y'all. History.
This is another from a magazine, a French magazine called Urban. Here's an album I did years ago on Profile Records, but I don't want to talk about that. So I have memorabilia of my boys. I love all these brothers from New York City Breakers, dear friends of mine. Always loved them, so I got them to sign things. And this here was taken by a photographer, Philippe, in Paris. This was in 1982, I believe. I would go on vacation to see my family, and I would put out a hat. And mind you, this is when I was dancing to Planet Rock and looking for the perfect beat. So that could give a good date. So there was an interview with this gentleman who is explaining, we're all sitting there watching this young man dance. We're listening to this music that we've never heard before. We don't understand what's going on, but we know it's something special. It was very nicely said. It actually melted my heart. This is the Flashdance wall. So if you see these photos here, like with Norm Ski, This photo here is straight from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at this photo here, this is behind the scenes. They sent me from the perspective where you see it goes straight, but turns.
Mm-hmm.
So these particular ones are behind the scenes. This is the director asking us to do things which we were all like, no, we're going to do what we want. Here's Crazy Legs, myself,
Hey,
Frosty.
hey, Freeze, can you take
Yep.
us through real quick? Because I'd love to just hear the story. How did you even get? Why did they want to put breakers in Flashdance, and how did that even happen?
So, from what I understand, Ruza Blue was our manager, Cool Lady Blue, and she we were at a rehearsal dance studio in Manhattan, not far from Studio 54.
Mm-hmm.
And she told us that there was a friend of hers who's a director,
Mm-hmm.
works for Paramount Pictures, and they're doing a movie called Flashdance, and they're looking for some special dancing.
Mm.
So, of course, at the time, the general public in the world has not seen breaking, other
Mm-hmm.
than if someone watched Buffalo Gals or something of that sort. So we ended up doing the movie, and from there was like, once it was premiered at the on Broadway in Manhattan, the explosion happened. The whole
Mm.
world saw what breaking was, and it pretty much catapulted us into where we are today. Had it not been for that movie or Legs meeting Ruza Blue, it's interesting. Let's talk. I talk briefly about Legs.
Mm-hmm.
His accomplishment and what he did has pretty much built an industry, not just for the breaking, but for the rap, for the clothing, everything. He was one of because of his pushing and doing what he did and meeting all these people and putting ideas in their heads. He helped build an industry
Yes.
within this culture.
Mm-hmm.
Now, rap, it's not the culture of hip hop. Now it is the music industry,
Right.
with rap in it. But because of his Rocksteady anniversaries, putting on shows, doing world tours, always speaking about it,
Mm-hmm.
he he should be getting 30% of what everyone has made off of it over the years. I'm exaggerating, of course, but
Nah.
he really played a big part in the building of this culture.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, in
Absolutely.
this
No.
industry.
In the industry. I have a question for me personally. So I saw in Flashdance that you were electric boogieing with Normski.
Yes,
Why didn't you break? Were you electric boogie first and then a b-boy or a breaker? What was it? How'd that happen?
I was always a b-boy first. Over the years, breaking just in the Bronx, things they go out of style. First, we had the
Mm,
Pro-Cat 69ers. All right, next summer we got the Latique shirts. Next summer we got the Puma Clydes. It just got played out to the point where, people were like, "Damn, you still do that?" Um,
mm-hmm,
I ended up seeing a gentleman named Eric, who he was from the Bronx. He went to Arizona and he came back and he started
mm-hmm,
doing these waving things, and I was like really intrigued. And since I used to do a lot of street mime, I would start like
mm,
doing it to the music. So I got into what we would call in New York the watered down version of real popping that came from the West Coast.
mm-hmm,
So a lot of people from New York will be pissed off at me. Why are you calling it watered down? Why are you calling it? The reason why is because it wasn't done properly. Now, when we bring in the boogie style and pop in it, then we're doing a dance that is accepted, because we're now using the fundamental basics of popping, but doing a different style of it. So there's
mm,
popping, there's ticking, there's boogalooing, and now there's boogie with the popping in it. So I just got so intrigued with the electric boogie, and then I saw a gentleman named Loose Bruce.
mm-hmm,
God rest his soul, he passed away. He was like the Bronx legend.
mm-hmm,
Everybody wanted to see um, Loose Bruce with his partner Paulie G. I believe it was called the Shack Crew. Fable knows the story very, very well, Pop Master Fable.
mm-hmm,
And I remember I went to a roller rink, and this is what solidified me where I got known as a boogie boy. Um, it was a roller rink in the Bronx off of the 4 train, and DJ Charlie Chase, I had no idea who he was at the time, and Grandmaster Caz was hosting. And in that battle was myself. I believe there was one other person, and it was Loose Bruce. And I was feeling hyped. I was just very excited to get in it, but I knew I'm going against Loose Bruce. But I didn't care. So Kaz, he sees me, I'm light skinned, and he goes, "Yo, Chase, you see this Puerto Rican kid right here?" And I wanted to tell him, by the way, I'm not Puerto Rican, but he just kept going. He goes, and Charlie's like, "Go, go, go." And he goes, "If this Puerto Rican could dance, yo, I don't know if he said, I'm going to eat my sneaker, I'm going to eat your record," but he said something to that effect. It was funny. So he goes, "What's your name?" And I said, "Mr. Freeze." He goes, "Mr. Freeze, what do you want to dance to?" I said, "Rockin' in the Pocket." So they were like, "Oh, Rockin' in the Pocket." So you know how that song started. So I prepped myself, and it went, basic boogie moves, and the crowd went completely out of their mind because they didn't figure that I would be able to dance the way I looked, my demeanor. I looked like a little, well, I guess they say Puerto Rican, but to me, I was a little white boy from the Bronx. I did the backslide across the whole roller rink. I would stop, would open the thing, do these stupid moves, and I ended up winning. I was really excited, and that's when I was like, "Yo, I just beat Loose Bruce. This is it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the boogie from now on." So that's what gave me the excitement to keep just doing the boogie.
Who taught you how to break?
I would have to say the one that showed me the hard fundamental basics, certain moves that I was missing in my repertoire, was Little Lep. Little Lep from the 7 Deadly Sins. And Little Lep, I had asked him as a young man, but didn't push, to find out more. I said, "Who taught you?" And he told me, Cool Sky. And I'm like, "Damn, I would really like to meet Cool Sky. Wow." And Little Lep, for some reason, we became really good friends. We hung out a lot. For some reason, he really liked me. You could feel when you meet people, yeah, this guy's cool, it's cool. But we really had a great relationship. And I got to meet Cool Sky by coincidence, because at the time I was dating a girl named Jackie Matos. I believe she was on, I don't remember the street. It was between Bedford and Kingsbridge off of the 4 train. I don't know if it's more, I don't know the street, but so Cool Sky comes walking up, and he had all white on. He was Muslim, and he was selling incense on the doo-wop at the time. And he came up to me, and I was like, "Wow, it's nice to meet you." And my girl at the time, she's like, "That's Cool Sky. That's Little Lep's teacher." I'm like, "Really?"
Wow.
So I'm like, "It's nice to meet you." And it was a bizarre interaction because he asked me if I was religious. And as a kid, I really wasn't thinking. And he was trying to give me, he was just telling me it was just a weird meeting. It was just weird, but I never got to really ask him, where did, who taught you? Because he is a serious missing link. Because if he taught, I never saw him dance. If he taught Little Lep, who did what he did, and Little Lep taught Mr. Ed, I mean, that guy must have been amazing, because they're doing those particular moves that Cool Sky learned or created. I don't know. And we've got some older b-boys that are known that are telling me like, "Nah, he wasn't a b-boy. No way. He was an 80s b-boy." I'm like, I met the guy. I met Little Lep in the late 70s. He learned from Cool Sky. So he's not an 80s b-boy. But, I'm not going to argue with friends. I just, especially people I looked up to them. I don't know if they're getting Alzheimer's or what's going on, but a lot of people are just changing their stories that I've always looked up to. So I'm very careful and critical of people when they say certain things. Some things I'll try to check them on. Some things, if it's someone I looked up to, I just turn the other cheek and I don't say anything because I love
Here's
them and I don't want to diss them.
here's a funny thing, and I don't know if you remember this. I called you one day. I was out having lunch with my brother known as Silos Congas, and we're having lunch, and he's talking to me about the Bronx, and he brings up a name. He brings up Wilski. I
Yeah,
said, "Wait, Wilski from?" Say, "Yeah, Wilski used to hang with Little Lep. Used to
that was Little Ep's partner and the younger brother
seven
of
deadly
Cool Sky.
sins."
Yes,
And so I said, "Well, how do you know them?" He said, "Because of my brother." I said, "Who's your brother?"
I remember. That's right.
My brother's Cool Sky. So I just text him as we're talking. I want him to elaborate a little bit, but then remember I called you, and I told
Yeah,
you, yeah, I'm sitting with this dude, and so he told me, he said, I said I would love to interview him. He said, nah, you don't. He's not. It's not a good thing. He's not. Yeah. So I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I thought that
that's
was
sad,
interesting.
man. That
Yeah.
is sad because he's a huge missing. He might be the link that could bring a lot of things together.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I'm saddened
Absolutely.
by it. It's and God rest his soul, Little Ep. I remember a couple of years back, I spoke to him over the phone, and he wouldn't even let me talk. I'm like, Lep, we need to get a hold of Cool Sky. Yo, don't even mention his name. Keep his name out of your mouth. I don't want to hear that shit. And excuse me, I don't want to hear that stuff. And that's it. Don't bring up his name anymore. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, but it's really, I don't want to hear it. Okay. I don't
Yeah,
understand the
yeah.
resistance
Something might
because
have happened.
I
Yeah.
saw Wilski some years back, and I had a conversation with him, and he was like, my brother's kind of upset that he wasn't put down, or his name isn't in with everything that's going on. I'm like, Will, we can't find him.
Mm,
I wish we could find him so we could start talking to him,
mm,
and he never called me or got me his number. It's sad.
yeah.
It's like we can't know the whole story.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those that don't know who Wilski is, Wilski was a notorious stick up kid in the Bronx. I remember seeing Wilski and would cross the street running because he would want to rob you of
Yep.
your stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So,
was his business.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, somebody says that I'm going to take one or two more questions and then we're going to wrap this up, guys. So, Mr. T, you said I have a question. What's your question, Mr. T? Then we'll move on. So while I'm waiting for that, bro, Freeze, thank you so much, bro, for taking the time to first of all, man, what I appreciate about you, you you know you're a legend in my eyes, brother. And I know you're a very humble man,
Oh,
but
I hate
you're a
women.
legend, and I know you don't like that, but
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say that. But the one thing I appreciate about you, bro, is that how accessible. And I know you're not accessible to everybody. You don't put yourself out there, but I was somebody you didn't know, and I'm not even sure how we connected, but we connected, and you were. Oh, it was through the YouTube channel. I saw you in the chat, and then we connected, and when we spoke on the phone the first time, it was just like we knew each other, bro. You
Yeah.
just had that energy, bro, and I really want you to know I appreciate that so
Oh, thank
much.
you. That's
Yes,
nice.
sir.
I appreciate you too. Everything you're doing.
Absolutely.
We
Here's
just
his
have.
question.
Go ahead.
He says, Mr. Freeze, who is the first B-boy crew?
I don't
Hmm.
know. I can't say
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
crews I know: Rock City Rockers, Rockville Association, the Bronx Boys, Two Good Crew, which was Woodlawn off the 4 train, the Suicide Crew, 183rd and Creston, I believe.
Mm.
Rocksteady Crew, I think it was 183rd and Creston. I could be wrong. Star Child La Rock, of course. Did
Mm-hmm.
I mention the Mexican Crew?
Nope. Mm-hmm.
Suicide Crew. Those were just a bunch of tough guys. Um, I don't know because when they
Mm-hmm.
talk, there was the Zulu King. So in that era, all I know is the crews came out in the mid '70s when I saw the fundamental basics with the Star Child Rocks, the Track Twos, the Rock Steady. That's even though I wasn't that yet, but I did see those shirts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Appreciate it. Appreciate the question, man. But listen, guys, we're gonna wrap this up tonight. Freeze, once again, brother, thank you so much, man. Did you feel like this was good? Did we elaborate enough? What do you
Yeah,
think?
I
How'd you
think we,
feel?
yeah, I think I'm very happy about the whole thing. Had we have not reached out to me, had it have been about just my history, or this was, as you know, we've been talking about this, what, it's been a year. You've been wanting
Mm-hmm.
to get me on, and I'm like, let me figure something out. I don't just want to get on and do what everyone's doing. So I
Mm-hmm.
felt by you looking at the Dancing Doug, the Sasa, um, I I was able to elaborate more without an attack, but at least to give a better understanding, to not really hate on them.
Yeah.
Let's look at it objectively, where we can figure out something to give it, either accept it or give them a different name, so we could all be in unity.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Mm-hmm.
show for me now, at least we didn't. Some people take the shows as being as attacking, which is unfortunate.
Right.
When
Right.
a lot of your stuff, you're just trying to show some history
Mm-hmm.
with particular dances. So I thank
No,
you
that's
too.
it.
Thank you
Yes,
for your
sir.
patience, because
Oh
I know you
no.
probably thought I didn't like you for a while, and I don't know why. I just wanted it to be right.
No, no, no. I didn't. Well, first of all, I never thought that. I just,
Okay.
I was waiting, and I know you're busy. I
Yeah.
know you're doing your thing. And where can people find you? And what's going to be happening on your next interview with the UK Museum, Hip Hop
So
Museum?
you could find me on Mr. Freeze 1970 on Instagram. Every Tuesday on the I'm sorry, every Friday I do a Mr. Freeze Fridays on the UK Hip Hop Museum Live, and I interview icons. Joe Conzo, I had Henry Chalfant, Martha Cooper. I didn't have Martha yet. I'm sorry. I just had a second interview with graffiti artist Scene.
Mm,
So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get interviews with people that helped take photos, and videographers to document things that have happened with what we've done. So
mm-hmm,
we're digging a little deeper rather than just going to Run DMC and doing an interview. So my next interview is going to be with a gentleman. I believe his name is Patrick Le Rouge. Everyone is
mm,
like, who the hell is that? Well, that
mm,
gentleman is the second biggest art collector from Futura 2000. He has a lot of his work from the 80s. And for those
mm,
that know who Futura 2000 is, big name in our culture. And he's
mm-hmm.
also going to show us a lot of the archives that he's preserved.
Beautiful,
And
beautiful.
after that, we have Bernard Zachary, who's the man that was a part of Celluloid Records that helped build the tour that we did in Paris and Europe One with Africa Bambaataa, DST,
Mm,
Dondi, Futura. It's all every Friday. It's something very exciting.
mm-hmm,
It's
mm-hmm.
not your typical interview
Yeah, yeah, man.
with the regular person.
No, it's always good. Always look forward to those interviews. I saw there was a couple of interviews where you were on the screen, and then all of a sudden your
Oh,
image was gone, and then the
what a
bottom person
nightmare!
was there. What was happening with that?
I had
Just
that with
technical?
Mellow Mayonnaise. I don't know. We don't know what
Ah,
happened. I had the internet company come here. I had the phone checked out. I would do the live from somewhere else. But now what I do is I shut off my phone and I
hmm,
turn it back on, and I haven't had a problem with any of those interviews.
nice,
That was
nice.
very upsetting for sure.
Yeah. Well, brother, you have a great night, bro. Again, thank you so much. And I hope this was
Thank you.
beneficial to everybody watching as we discuss history. And, sometimes it's going to be, cut and dry. And then other times we have to sort of kind of dissect and look at things through a broader lens to kind of get the picture. It's not always as cut and dry as we think it
Yeah.
is. So appreciate you, brother. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Great talking to you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
brother.
Take care,
Always.
everyone.
Peace.